Be me, late 20s, program manager at a giant live events company, the kind that eats stadium calendars for breakfast. The team that makes sure lights turn on, speakers do not explode, and crowds do not riot. Room full of men in steel toe boots and cargo shorts. And me, the one woman with a clipboard, a plan, and a migraine. Been told I am the poster child of progress. Translation. Please smile for the brochure while you fix the mess. Did the whole education grind. Double shifts, night classes, internships that paid in pizza. Watched men get promoted for high fives and bar stories. Watched women get moved to communications or people operations. Kept telling myself I am the exception. Kept telling myself exceptions should become the rule. Decide I am done asking. We'll build a women-first crew. Call it a quiet correction to a loud imbalance. If they will not open the door, I will buy the building. Big plan in my head. Prove it at our crown jewel, the Summer Thunder Music Festival. 2 weeks of bands, food trucks, fireworks, and chaos on a stick. If we nail it, nobody can say a thing. If we fail, they will say everything. Start recruiting, like my life depends on it. Panels, mixers, group chats, sleepy campus fairs. Any woman who can point at a cable without fainting gets my card. Start a junior apprenticeship. Brand it as Women in Live Ops. Some resumes are thin. Some are thick with the wrong things. But the eyes are sharp. The energy is real. Tell myself potential is a currency men never had to spend. Men on the short list are seasoned. 10 festivals in their pockets, truck routes in their brain. Also loud, smug, and shaped like hurdles. Look at the pile. Choose the women anyway. Say it out loud in my head. Merit is more than years on a spreadsheet. Merit is hunger on a Tuesday night. Weeks pass. My floor starts to sound different. Less toolbox slam. More whiteboard scribble. 8 women out of 12 direct reports. Coffee tastes like victory. Calendar tastes like stress. First wobble arrives disguised as a small show. Regional park concert. Simple refrigeration plan for the drink trucks. New hire blanked the overnight chill. The cans roll in warm and sad. Clients call with the fury of 1,000 lukewarm sips. I patch it with apologies and gift vouchers and a brave face. Tell myself training takes time. Tell myself men forget things too. Tell myself a lot of things. Second wobble has glitter on it. Junior manager pitches a bold campaign. Beer as liberation through harmony and sisterhood. Tagline about raising a can to raise a voice. I sign off because I want the billboard to punch the sky. Rollout lands with a thud. Regulars online do a chorus of Why is my drink giving a speech? Sales dip in that region. Office group chat quietly calls it heavy-handed. Grit my teeth. Say change always stumbles in new shoes. Third wobble is a complaint. One of my coordinators files a report against a venue foreman. Swear words and bad jokes during load-in. I back her, because silence is how rot grows. Investigation says it was a throwaway remark while lifting crates. Venue relationship turns frosty anyway. Emails go unanswered. My boss looks at me like the budget is a living thing. I just hurt. Tell myself holding lines is costly on purpose. Meanwhile, a pattern forms like sweat on concrete. The men on my team pick up late shifts, redo miscounted stock sheets, smooth over client calls with a voice as calm as pallet wrap. I see it. I do not want to see it. I say teamwork out loud. I whisper balance in my head. Then a meeting goes off script. We are talking delays in sponsor banners. My plan is optimism with bullet points. Senior tech named Ryan leans back and fires a cannon. Why are 3 people hired to do what I end up doing at midnight? Room temperature drops to refrigerator. I give the teamwork speech. He cuts it in half with a hand swipe. This is not a social experiment. This is a deliverable. Paper hits table like a drum. Two junior women bristle like cats. Maybe mentor instead of moan. Maybe you do not like that women have a seat now. Ryan laughs without humor. I like output and not crying in the loading bay. The sentence hovers like a hornet. I end the meeting with a voice that sounds steady and feels broken. Countdown to summer thunder is a sprint inside a hurricane. Walk the site map until my shoes hate me. Train the team until the projector begs for mercy. Tell myself we are ready. Tell myself every scar is preemptive. Day 1 arrives with sunrise and sirens. Permits are missing from the scan folder. Delivery rigs idle at the gate like angry buffalo. Thousands of cans trapped by bureaucracy and my wishful thinking. Find the coordinator near the wristband tent. Ask why in a tone I hope sounds human. She says the process was a blur and the forms are confusing. My jaw wants to hit the floor. My words choose the ceiling. We fix it 3 hours late. Crowds chant the ancient hymn of "Where is my drink?" Promotions lead starts handing out sample coupons. Crowd surges, noise spikes. A guy does a bad joke about marriage and foam. She shakes, cries behind the sound tower. Tells me she does not feel safe and she is not a shield. Reminds me I told her people first. I assigned 2 guys to cover her zone. Add another weight to the guilt barbell in my spine. There is a shouting match behind the main stage. 2 of my team members. Signage versus schedule blame ping pong. Someone records it with enthusiasm. By sunset, there is a viral clip labeled "Very Dramatic Women Running a Show." Everyone uses words like disaster. I use words like tomorrow. Tomorrow does not care. Day 2 bites harder. A generator allocation sheet has numbers doing interpretive dance. Towers flicker. A vendor screams about ruined ice cream. I grab a headset, call fixes, run, sweat, pray to any god who enjoys logistics. Men on the team become duct tape with hands. Women on the team try, but thread keeps snapping. I look at the timeline I drew on the wall and it smirks. Day 3 opens with a summons. Top floor office above the stadium bowl. Vice President of Operations and Human Resources waiting with a document that smells like caution. They tell me public relations is bleeding and sponsors are texting in full sentences. They order me to call in a backup crew, outside contractors, mostly men. Borrowed from a competitor who hates our guts, but loves money. Dial the number like it is a confession. Humiliation tastes like cold coffee. Backup rolls in at dawn in a box truck parade. They move like an orchestra. No speeches, no sighs, no visible pride. Just straps, dollies, checklists written on calloused memory. Lines shrink, stock balances, stages hum instead of cough. My team stares at the ground that keeps moving without them. One of the contractors, tall, beard, eyes like he has seen storms inside warehouses, asks me if I am the one in charge. I say yes, like a dare. He nods at the chaos that is now less chaotic. What happened? Say words about expansion and learning curves and culture shift. He whistles the kind of whistle that says a lot. Maybe do your experiments on small shows and not on the big one. His friend laughs while buckling a ratchet strap. Not unkind, but true in the way a scraped knee is true. I stand there and taste the sentence. Truth without sugar burns the same on every tongue. Week 1 ends without fire. Crowd is calm. Music is music again instead of noise over complaints. Executives breathe through their noses like people who forgot how. The headlines still sting. Festival saved by emergency crew. Diversity drive blamed by fans and pundits alike. See my name in a paragraph that reads like a scolding. Sleep is a rumor. Monday after the final encore. Conference room that used to feel like my arena. Now it feels like a witness stand. I keep my job because miracles come in many forms. I lose my scope because budgets come in sharper forms. Ryan is promoted to head of festival operations. Another man becomes his deputy. Half my team moved. Half my budget trimmed like a hedge you secretly wanted gone. My new assignment resembles side quests that nobody asked for. Sit in a meeting run by someone who used to ask me for batteries. He is calm. He is crisp. He does not flinch when a timeline changes. Room nods like sunflowers. I stare at a notebook full of ideas that smell like smoke. The easy conclusion is poison. Men are better. My bones reject it like a splinter. The harder conclusion is a riddle. Feminism is not a magic spell. Hiring women is not the same as building competence. Activism slogans do not guide forklifts. Experience still matters. Mentorship still matters. Courage still matters. None of those are owned by men or women. But access has never been evenly priced. I tell myself I hired the wrong matches for the wrong fire. I tell myself I made passion carry weight better suited to practice. I tell myself I made a point when I should have built a system. The mirror nods without smiling, so I update the plan. Quietly. No more billboard bravery until the spine is ready. Find women who love power distribution schedules like art. Find women who can make a route map. Sing. Find women who can stand in a crowd and remain a lighthouse. Pair every junior with a senior. Pair every senior with humility. Design drills that feel like storms. Teach the difference between a speech and a checklist. Make the spreadsheet a friend and not a monster. Do it without confetti. Do it without asking for permission to breathe. Start meeting people off the record. Not the loud panel circuit where everyone cheers the same words. Quiet bays in small arenas. Women covered in dust and grit with a grin that means they fixed something that mattered. Their resumes do not glow. Their references do. Write names in a notebook that feels like a key. Meanwhile, I sit through debriefs that sound like sermons. Numbers projected like constellations. Lessons written in corporate tone. My chest writes its own. Do not make a stage carry a manifesto it did not sign. Do not pretend steady hands grow overnight. Do not build a crew out of hope alone. Do not stop believing in what you came to do. Weeks later, I am on a small gig at a riverside fair. New trio of women shadow me. We map power drops. We pace tent layouts. We run a drill where the headliner is late and the cooler breaks, and a vendor forgets a permit. We fix it before it happens. The men on site nod like they recognize the language. The night ends with lights out on time and no one yelling. We clean up in the glow of street lamps and pride. I breathe in a version of victory that fits in both hands. A message from Human Resources pings my inbox. Mandatory training about culture. The kind that tries to make a policy into a heart. I attend with a face that says, I am listening. I am listening. But my real education is a stack of load sheets and a crew that trusts itself. Run a mid-size show with the new crew. No campaign slogans, no speeches. Just timings, radios, snacks, and water breaks like a religion. A drunk guy tries a joke. Crew lead with braids gives a look that could freeze wind. He apologizes like he meant it the first time. The band plays an encore because everything ran tight. The vendor gives us a tray of pastries with a thank you note. I take a photo of the team. They look like the future without a caption. Stop by headquarters the next morning. Ryan is at the coffee machine. We talk numbers without knives. He admits he should have offered mentorship before Mushroom Cloud. I admit I should have asked for mentorship before lightning strike. We nod like adults. He says there is an opening for a city winter festival lead. Asks if I want to pitch. I say I will come with a plan and not a speech. He smiles like a person and not a wall. We may survive each other after all. Walk back to my desk. Open my notebook. Write 3 lines and box them. Fair access to climb. Real training to stand. Clear outcomes to measure. Below it I write a 4th line in smaller letters. Do not forget the fire that brought you here. Get a message from one of the women who cried behind the sound tower that first weekend. She wants another shot. Says she has been shadowing security. Learning crowd language. Practicing postures that say firm and safe. Asks if there is room on the winter festival team. I say yes, with conditions that sound like respect and not punishment. She agrees with a speed that makes me proud. I add her name to the notebook under a star that means growth. Call my mother that night. She asks if work is kinder now. I tell her work is less dramatic and more real. She laughs the kind of laugh that raised me. Says that sounds like growing up. I put the phone down and stare at the ceiling fan. It spins like the cycle of trying, failing, learning, trying again. For the first time since the summer, my chest is quiet. One last thing before sleep steals me. Open a folder called Winter Bones. It has stage plots, vendor lists, permit templates, safety scripts, rain plans, snow plans, ice plans, and a plan for when plans do not plan. Title the document with a sentence that has no glitter, but all spine. Competence is how a movement stays. Hit save. Close the laptop. Let the dark hold the rest. Few months later, snow like sifted sugar over the park. Team in jackets. Radio checks singing down the line. Sound check clean. Lights crisp. Vendors smiling because stock is stocked and power is power. Crowd arrives with kids and grandparents and dogs in sweaters. The woman from the summer walks the perimeter like a guardrail with a heartbeat. She looks me in the eye and says, "Thanks for the second chance." I say, "Thanks for taking it." Night falls. Headliner plays a song that makes couples sway, and teenagers pretend not to cry. It all feels so ordinary, and because it is ordinary, it feels holy. The good kind of quiet, the kind you earn. Packdown is a ballet of boxes. Contractors wave and leave. Crew huddles by a heater to share leftover cocoa. Ryan comes by with a nod and a word I did not expect. Well done. Not because you made a point, because you made a festival. I grin like a fool and do not apologize. On the train home I think about the summer, the pain, the headlines, the desk that became smaller. I think about the women I failed by throwing them into a storm without shelter. I think about the men I resented for being better at things they had years to practice. I think about fairness, not as a speech, but as a staircase. The train rocks, and I write another boxed line. Feminism is not a switch. It is a schedule with consequences. Phone buzzes. A junior sends a photo of the winter festival gate. The caption reads, "We did a hard thing the right way." I stare at it until the train stops at my station. Step into the cold with a smile that does not need witnesses. Open the door to my flat. Kick off boots that feel like victory. Put the notebook on the table like a trophy. No one else needs to see. The heater hums, the kettle sings. I whisper a silly little vow to an empty room. Next summer, we will be ready. Not to perform a message, but to run a festival so solid, the message does not have to shout. And when the day comes, no one will say women cannot. They will say this crew can, and the difference will be everything. Be me, still tired, still stubborn, still a believer. Not because belief is comfortable, because belief grew calluses and learned to count. Close notebook. Sleep finds me. The plan keeps breathing without me. Good. Let it. Tomorrow has work to do, and so do we. Spring arrives with a budget meeting and a grin. We pitch the new ladder from apprentice to crew lead. It is a ladder with real rungs and not motivational posters. We get partial approval because nothing pure survives a spreadsheet. We take the win and build anyway. Start small. Start steady. Start now. First training day draws a crowd of women who want in. Nervous smiles, hands that want to be useful. We teach radio etiquette like poetry. We teach the gospel of water, sleep, and lists. We teach the art of saying no without a fight. They say thank you with eyes first and voices second. I say welcome with both. In the corner, Ryan watches with a face I cannot read. Later, he admits he underestimated the power of structure. I admit I underestimated the power of humility. We exchange a nod that tastes like a truce earned under weather. Summer calendar appears on the wall. The big box with red marker around it. Summer thunder again. It looks at me. I look back. There is no fear left. Only a promise and a plan. Someone asks if I am trying to prove women are better than men. I shake my head and laugh in a way that is softer than last year. I am trying to prove excellence is not gendered. I am trying to make fairness boring. I am trying to make outcomes speak so loudly that chatter gets drowned out. They stare. Then they nod. Then they ask how they can help. Night before, load in. Crew group chat is not a poem about empowerment. It is a list of arrival times, vest sizes, and weather updates. Someone sneaks in a joke about free pastries. I allow it because sugar is a tool. Dawn breaks over an empty field that is about to become a city. Trucks roll in on time. Permits already in clear sleeves inside a bright blue folder. Security brief is crisp. Power drops line up like constellations. Promotions plan does not sell a dream. It sells cold drinks and shade and kindness at peak hour. First band sound checks, and it is actually in tune. Someone whispers, it feels different. Someone else says it feels right. And me. I walk the perimeter with a radio that stays mostly quiet. Not because nothing goes wrong. Because everything that goes wrong has a plan already waiting. We do not write history today. We write schedules, and they hold. There is still a joke at my expense from a vendor. There is still a guy who thinks he is the main character at the barrier. There is still a noise complaint that makes no sense. And yet, we move through it with a grace that looks like muscle. Sunset paints the sky. The crowd glows. The stage manager calls the final cue. The fireworks do what fireworks do. After the last boom, there is a hush. Then a roar. Not for me. For the crew. For the night that worked. When the dust settles and the headlines land. They say the festival was clockwork. They say the team was composed. They say almost nothing about gender. Which is exactly everything I wanted. I send a quiet message to the 3 women who started as interns and now run zones like captains. You did it. They reply with a photo of muddy boots and victorious grins. No speech, no slogan. Just work well done. Go home to a table that still holds the notebook. Open to the page with the boxed lines. Draw a new box around a new line. Make it normal for women to be excellent and unnoticed, because excellence is ordinary here. Turn off the light. Let the dark hold the plan again. Sleep like a person who built something sturdy. Dream of nothing special, because special is for people who have not found steady yet. Wake up to a new day. Coffee, calendar, call sheet, and a message from a young woman who was at the winter fair. She wants in. Of course she does. Send her the application and a reading list that is mostly safety manuals. Smile at the thought of a future where this does not feel like rebellion, just feels like work. Be me. Older by a year, lighter by a burden, heavier by a ladder. Ready for the next show. Ready for the next name in the notebook. Ready for the next ordinary miracle.